Well, hey everybody. Today's job is to get into this hive. This is the hive that didn't make it this winter, and take whatever resources are available. Some of the honey is going to be for me, or maybe we'll use some of the other frames in this hive next to it. So this hive that I got my hand on now is alive. This hive is dead right next door. Don't know why. Treated exactly the same. Only difference is box configuration. This one was in 3 mediums. This one was in a deep in 3 mediums. So this one's way stored up. That'll be another part of today's job. But what I wanted to focus on here was this hive that's dead. So what you might notice is there are bees in and out of it. Maybe it's not really capturing on camera, but you know, you'll hear people say, well, my bees have died, and that may be. But remember that your bees aren't dead until they're warm and dead. So these bees appeared dead upon first springtime inspection. Didn't really sweat it, as they were cold, right? Maybe they're cold and alive. But once it was warm enough and the other hives were flying that did live, it was pretty obvious that they were warm and dead. So, oh, this box is pretty heavy. So it indicates it's got honey in it. See the dead bees, they're all clustered in this instance towards the front. There's a live bee. Don't get your hopes up. She's a robber. Nothing wrong with that. It's opportunistic, and I don't say they're doing anything wrong. But what we'll do here is we'll go through this box, or these boxes rather, and brush any of the dead bees out. So like this frame here, totally bare. If this hive needs some room, that's where I'll rob that resource from. So just here, just prying them about. Evidently this one's stuck, well stuck together. This frame's got just the tiniest bit of honey. You can see there, these two opportunists are taking hold of it. So we'll just do that, and if I find anything interesting here, I'll try to show you. But basically, see there's a good frame. Got a lot of honey on the one side, not a ton of honey on this side. Some of the dead ones there, and we'll excuse them. But I also wanted to show you these. I have a video of how to make these, and these are bee escapes. So I brought 2 of them today, and the reason why is we'll put it escape side down, and then we'll put a box on here, and we'll start loading any honey frames from both of these hives into boxes and putting it on an escape. And that, despite brushing the bees off, there'll be some bees returning, and we don't want to necessarily take those home. So we'll be here for a while. Maybe you can see my truck in the background. If you can't, my truck's in the background. So I'm gonna put a bee escape this way on the tailgate, and then I'll take the other bee escape and I'll actually put it escape side up. And what that will do is, between all the boxes, any bees that come out through the bottom can escape, and any bees that come up through the top can escape. So that's what we'll do on today's adventure. We're in the second box down now. A couple things I'm seeing is there's less honey in each frame, and it's been robbing. So this is a robber. See how they're just ripping and tearing. Another thing I'm finding is this is my first patch of brood. That would indicate, there was some on this side as well, indicate that the queen was alive at least probably till late December at least, for her to start laying again. So as I'm getting into the second box, I'm seeing a lot more evidence of robbing, which is fine. But I'm seeing things like this too, where there's clusters of dead ones. And I wonder if they because they had honey, I mean in this instance they had honey on the same frame. I wonder if they just didn't leave the brood. They didn't want to leave the brood. You know, number one, anytime you have a dead hive, you should suspect you had a mite count that was unsustainable. I didn't count these, just treated them blindly. If that's not your jam, that's fine. I already made up my mind. See here with the double negative, I wasn't going to not treat. So I should have probably counted mites at the end of it, but all things considered, I mean, so that wasn't a deal breaker for me. I was treating regardless, and I treated all three of my hives the same. Didn't count any the same, and then, you know, you're right to say that's wrong. You are fine to say that. I don't mind. But that was what I did. So a little bit more brood here. This queen didn't do bad throughout the season. She was a Dan Williams queen from Central Ohio, beekeeper with a pretty good reputation. So I'm not going to say it was anything queen related. Just not sure that, well, I can tell you this, I'm not going back into all mediums ever again. Just not going to do that. I'm always going to have a deep on there as long as I can control that. I'm going to have at least a deep somewhere, preferably on the bottom so I don't have to pick it. This one's got a little bit more honey, hasn't been robbed out so hard. But this box overall was much lighter than the top box. And I can see as I'm in there, I don't think it's as much a reflection of I'm in here and the hive's open. I just think there's more bees obviously coming through the bottom. So I'm down into the lowermost box now, and there is just inch or two thick of dead bees. See if I can tilt it in close up. These dead bees are that deep on my finger. So they had one time had a very populous hive. See here in this black frame, a little bit more of some brood. So all we'll do here, these frames have all been empty so far, you know, of honey. So what we'll do, we'll brush the dead ones off best we can, and I'll keep this box beside me. That will go on to this hive, maybe in place of a super that I pull off of the big one. This hive has been an all-star. Took a ton of resources off it last year. Used it for mini nukes and split it several times over, and it still powered through, came through winter, and is going now. And I'll be frank with you, when it's a deep and 3 mediums, this is a quilt box. That's an intimidating hive. So we're gonna break it down today a little bit. Collect some rent. Didn't take any honey off of anything last year. I was very conservative by design. Now I did use a ton of resources off of it, but I didn't take any honey off of anything. But now that they've made it through, it's time to take a little bit of honey. So this is showing through on video very well. There's some cool pollen cells in here. I'll try to tilt it and lean it. I can't see very well into the camera. And also these black Purcos, I think these are Purco. Yeah, I ordered a whole mess of these over the winter, deeps and mediums. use them for the first time in 2020 and not looking back. I'll continue to run the wooden ones that I have until there's time to cycle them out. But as they age, I'm going to tell you that plastic is nice. So I write my dates on these. So this hive has had a lot of 17s, a lot of 18s. I don't know how well that's going to show for you. Anyway, a lot of 17s and 18 frames in this hive, which is fine. They say every 5 years or so. But as they wear out and get changed out, plastic all the way. Pretty price competitive also with wood and wax. But yeah, this box here, the bottom box, totally bare frames. And not counting the dead beesies that we have there. It's in the shadows. But I'm just going to pick through here, look for the queen. If I can find her, I'll put her in a bottle and use her as some swarm lure. Something else to think about, well, if and while you're cleaning up your dead hives, here's some propolis. And then I don't tell you what to do, you do what you do, but that's coming home with me. That's a useful thing to have, and I just keep a jar of it. So that was going through a dead hive. Not a whole lot of why, because I'll tell you, if you have a dead hive, you should think mite load, queen health, food, and moisture. I think those are the 4 things that I have heard people that know say to look for when you lose a hive. So we'll assume it was one of the 4 things that got this hive. Luckily we did have 2 come through, and next job will be to take this monster down to something more reasonable. But other than that, hope your bees made it, and hope this video was useful for you. Thanks for watching.